I started my watch. Are we good? All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another PlanetSide 2 webcast. Today's webcast is going to be featuring Nanite Systems Vehicles. We're going to be talking a little bit about the art style of the Nanite Systems Vehicles, the way they fit into the game overall, and we got a whole bunch of questions here from the community, from some folks on Twitter, some folks on PlanetSide Universe, even a couple people on Reddit. So this is really cool, and we're going to start cranking right away. So one of the general questions that we had here from several people was, how many factors on vehicles can be upgraded or side graded? For instance, on a Sunderer, how many aspects of it can be adjusted via upgrades? How many vectors can be adjusted for Empire-specific vehicles and Nanite System vehicles? Is it all the same? So what do you think? Actually, hold on. Before we get started, let's do intros here really quick. I'm sorry about that. My name is Matt Higby. I'm the creative director on PlanetSide 2, and joining me here is
Kevin Moyer, Kevin Mo0 on Twitter.
You are the
vehicle lead designer.
Got to coax it out of them.
Vehicle lead designer. All right, and then next to him,
no introduction needed. Everybody who's watching knows who I am.
I don't know, dude.
Tramell Isaac, senior art director, PlanetSide 2.
Boom. All right, back to
the representation. Sitting in, obviously, the purple.
The purple.
It's all about it. But anyway.
So there was a question. I don't remember what it was. Do you remember what it
was? What kind of upgrades?
That's right. What kind of upgrades do
vehicles get?
Vehicles get.
So the current design is each vehicle has a utility slot, a defensive slot, and a performance slot, as well as the option to upgrade each weapon on the vehicle. So if a vehicle has two weapons, you're going to be able to swap each weapon individually, and also slot in a defense, which could be something like armor or shields, and then slot in a performance item, which could increase top speed or acceleration. And then a utility, which can be pretty much anything. It can be EMP, smoke, flares, whatever.
So the specific question on here was, on a Sunderer, how many aspects of it can be adjusted via upgrades and side grades? So I guess
on
5.
The Sunderer, yeah. So yeah, 5.
So
you got the 2 weapons and the 3 slots.
And you can upgrade those weapons. You can upgrade both of them. It's not like they both have
Correct.
to be the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And those upgrades are, the 5 that you speak of are more things that actually affect gameplay.
Yes.
And there's also a set of upgrades that you can have, not necessarily upgrades, but customizations that you can have on the Sunderer that actually just allow you to individualize your Sunderer.
Yeah, we have also 4 cosmetic slots for each vehicle.
Cool.
So like what could I put on my Sunderer?
You can change the decal on the vehicle, the tint overlay, so camo patterns, racing stripes, things like that. Also, you can put in a hood ornament, and each vehicle has a few specific things to the vehicle. Sunderer is going to have
hood ornament. Like what?
You can have
like
an
a winged, like a winged beast.
You can have like the Vanu logo if you're rolling a Vanu.
Of course.
I want to have a disembodied Vanu skull.
I don't think I'm going to make any of those.
I think we should get those. A big purple skull.
I think we'll probably behead some NC and TR and make them like chrome hood ornaments. So I think we would probably do that. But what I was really thinking, we were talking about like how do we stretch the hood ornament, the deepness of the number that we have, and we're going to talking about taking some of the iconic imagery from the original PlanetSide, like making a miniature warp gate and have that be a hood ornament, or taking the characters and scaling them down and making bobblehead, hood ornaments and making them all chrome.
The cool thing about the hood ornaments is when you're firing, like they're actually part of your view frustrum when you're piloting the vehicle. So if I'm in a tank and I got a big Vanu symbol on it, right? Because we have like the Vanu symbol hood ornament for the Mag Rider. When you're driving around blasting dudes with it, you can see it, and then when they're on the kill cam, they can see it too.
Yeah.
I love it.
Very nice.
I love that symbol. All right, so can you give us, here's another general question, can you give us some examples of upgrades or side grades for a vehicle? Just pick a vehicle and like what sort of side grades are available for it.
Well, let's keep with Sunderer. Sunderer can choose different armor plates for its defensive slot. So you can choose side armor, which will increase the mitigation of impacts on the side. Increase it on the top if you're having trouble with aircraft or you're going to enter an aircraft-heavy area. You can increase the mitigation of rockets hitting you on the top. You can do it on the front, do it on the back. There's also going to be a mine guard for the Sunderer, which it'll be basically bottom armor, but it'll let you roll right over mines, taking very little damage. Utility slot examples could be Things like the EMP. You hit the button, the EMP will go out of the Sunderer. Or
Right.
you can trade that for smoke. So when you're ready to deploy your troops, you can hit smoke, obscure the view of attackers, giving your guys a better chance of making it to cover.
So
Right.
what does the EMP do? When I fire that thing off, what should I expect to see?
You're going to see the burst of the EMP. It's the blue electrical lights, and it's going to disable nearby mines and other things. And we're going to have it disable shields.
Okay, and that's obviously there'll probably be like a cooldown timer on that, and
Yeah, it'll
you can't
be a
just keep
cooldown.
firing it off.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
It's so when you pull up to the door and there's a bunch of junk, the enemy's there, you can hit the button and knock some of it out.
nice.
All right, cool. So here's a question: will we be able to deconstruct Nanite Systems vehicles and any other vehicles? Is there a deconstruction mechanic right now
There is currently no activatable deconstruct mechanic.
besides like slapping some C4 on it? And
Yeah, you can.
and the
If
detonator
you
button?
manage to blow it up or leave it idle for a while, it will deconstruct, and there's no refund. Once you purchase it, it's purchased.
Purchased, done. Well, that's easy. All right, here's a contentious question. I know a lot of people were wondering about this one specifically. Why were bombers removed? What are we thinking?
So when we were sitting down, figuring out what the vehicles were going to be in PlanetSide 2, looking at the original, what we want to turn them into, what's cut, what's not. We were looking at the Liberator, and I'd played PlanetSide Live back when it launched, and remember the Liberator coming out, and remember jumping in that thing and playing it. And we also revisited it when we were going through the list. And the thing I realized was, you kind of just, as a bombardier, you kind of just sit there and hit the button. You can kind of aim it up and down, and yes, the momentum deals with it, but it didn't feel as active as, say, gunning a tank or tail gunning the Liberator or piloting it. So we were like, what's something similar? Something like an AC-130 is very close.
And we put a huge cannon on
You
the
put a
thing.
huge cannon on it, let the gunner point down, give him some view angles, and then he has to aim a little bit more, and that should be more engaging for the gunner.
So the goal is basically to replicate the functionality of having an airborne anti-armor / area effect damage vehicle, but give the gunner something a little bit more active to do rather
Exactly.
than being a passenger all the time.
The most fun part about the Liberator was seeing that kill spam of just tons of people. You can nail a bridge. You're still going to be able to do that. You're just going to have to aim a little bit more.
So I mean, so for people who didn't really understand like why remove it as a bomber, in essence, it pretty much is a bomber. You
From
just
a
have
functionality standpoint.
Yeah, you can do the same thing. You're in the the ball seat in the back of the Liberator, and you can aim down and you shoot at stuff.
And
so
it's just
the
fun.
same thing.
It's just really active. I mean, you still have to have a lot of communication between the pilot and the gunner. You have a limited firing arc with the gun, so coordination is still super key for that, like it was on the Liberator.
Yep.
All right. Sounds good to me. I'm sure we'll probably get some questions if you guys have a problem with that decision. At KevMo0 on Twitter.
Exactly.
Is the dude to talk to.
He's the guy.
All right, here's the last of the general questions, and we'll move on to the specific stuff. Will different empires have their own unique visual customizations to the Nanite Systems vehicles, apart from just colors?
Cosmetic attachments, definitely. Definitely, if you're Vanu, you're not going to be able to buy an NC hood ornament and stuff like that. And there will be a few spots where there will be a weapon that's a Vanu-only weapon that you can put on the Sunderer or something.
Right.
It's still a little bit in flux, but definitely that's an option.
So something like going back to the Liberator, potentially down the road we might have some ion cannon thing that's Vanu specific
Yes,
that knocks
exactly.
out vehicles, and it's a gun replacement for the Liberator.
Yep.
Cool. Not that we're going to do that necessarily, but just as an example. All right, so moving on to the vehicle-specific stuff. One of the Nanite Systems vehicles, the smallest one, the one-man vehicle is the quad. The ATV, and this is something I wanted to work out actually, because sometimes we call it the quad. Sometimes we call it the ATV. What do you call it?
Quad.
What do you call it?
Squad.
So I call it the ATV.
It's the same thing. It doesn't matter.
It is, but I want to find a final answer for what we're going to call it.
You just want it to be friggin' DMX riding across the screen.
I also want it to be DMX riding across the screen, yeah.
You
I think
want
it's
it to
really
be Cradle
important
to
that
the
we make it that
Grave,
cool.
dude.
Yeah,
So-
it should be as cool as Cradle to the Grave.
I don't think it really matters.
All things need to be at least that cool.
We can call it ATV. I don't have a problem with it. As a name is a name. But I
Right.
think you answered a huge question that a lot of people I noticed were asking on the forums. was it a 2-man or a 1-man? And you just said it was a 1-man. So there you go. You got
It is
an
a
answer
one-man
without
right now,
even
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was talk of potentially later down the road making.
Yeah,
it
there was
easier.
talk about a cert tree unlock that would let a passenger ride on the back.
And that's something we're still leaving open,
Right.
but not really committing to. All right, so here's what I want to do with this ATV versus quad thing. Let me know if this is going out of line. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But I would like to ask all the people who are watching right now to let us know what you want it to be. If you want it to be called the ATV,
what difference does it make?
well, we need to have the name in the menus and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
when
know,
we're
but
selecting it
like,
and getting it.
what's the difference in the name? Like, is
don't
there really a difference, or is it just synonyms?
Well, an ATV could easily be a 3-wheeled vehicle.
This is true.
A quad is probably a 4-wheeled vehicle.
Well, you just answered the question.
Yeah, but that's not true. I mean, we don't have a 3-wheeled vehicle. I'm asking, what do you
You're
want? What does the community want
You
us
just
to name
answered the
thing?
question.
I didn't.
We have a 4-wheeled motorcycle-like vehicle.
Right?
It can't be an ATV then.
Sure it could. It's still an ATV. It's like one of those
What's more specific, though?
all parallelograms aren't squares, but all squares are parallelograms kind of things.
Seriously, dude?
What?
What do we have that's more specific to the name as far as like versus ATV or versus quad? Ours is more quad-like than it is ATV because it can only be a 4-wheel vehicle. It can't be a 3-wheel.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to get everybody else's opinion. We got a bunch of watchers out there. Hit us up on Twitter. Let us know if it should be a quad. Let us know if it should be an ATV. Tell
Let's see
at
what these people are
Kevmo0. Tell at Higby. Tell at PST Ray.
Let's see what they
Let us
say.
know what they say. Let us know what they say.
Basti says, stop playing with my phone. Well, how the hell would I know if you said something?
What new tricks
I'm looking
do
at my
ATVs
Twitter
have
account,
up their
dude.
mechanical
There you go.
sleeves in PS2?
Basti, get off my back.
What can ATVs do? Or quads? We don't know. What can ATVs / quads do in PS2 that's cool and unique?
So because we have a much more robust physics engine, we have a lot more things to play with. So probably like one of the neatest things that's kind of simple, but it's cool that we have it, is we have the handbrake. So you can ride the quad, hit the handbrake to do tighter turns, turn the thing. So if you're being chased, you could hit the handbrake, try to turn it while still moving.
That results in
shoot
flipping over for me most of the time.
Got to tune it.
Either
We'll
that or-
tune it to be fun and not flip you over when you hit it. But
You gotta learn how to drive it.
you can do things like try to drive
Take
it
skill.
I got to drive like DMX. Dude.
Exactly, DMX style, dude.
DMX handbrake.
Yeah.
And
It's got a turbo boost on it.
yeah, the
though,
turbo
too.
boost.
That's pretty
If you
sweet.
progress
Afterburner.
through the cert tree, you're going to get a turbo boost on the quad. And
Afterburner turbo. What's the
hit
deal
the-
with you and the...
What do you guys want to call it? Afterburner or turbo
Seriously, What's
boost?
the deal with you and the synonyms? You
Synonyms?
really just want to be difficult.
No, I'm just
Okay,
trying to
it's
be...
it's an afterburner.
I'm trying to...
And it does what?
it makes you go fast.
There you go.
It makes you blow up is what it does right
It
now.
can launch
go so
you
fast
into-
that you hit a wall and
Yeah,
explode.
it explodes.
Yes.
That's the coolest part, though.
But if you can find a sweet ramp somewhere in Olive or Axis, there'll be spots where you can get some jump canyons or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the reward for the players who commit to the cert tree on the quad.
And besides that kind of stuff, like what kind of armaments can you unlock for the quad? Is there going to be as cool as having like a Wraith versus a Basilisk versus a Fury?
We have all those weapons. There's going to be, you can choose one of the weapons. You can have a 50 cal machine gun, good against infantry, kind of like the Basilisk was in PlanetSide Live, or you can do the Fury where you put a little 40 millimeter rocket on it and equip that. And there'll probably be a few extra options too.
What about cloaking? Everybody always asks about cloaking.
We're working on it.
What
We're
about-
figuring it out how we can do it. But,
What about defensive mechanisms for the quad?
it has a mine guard like the. So if you're one of those players like me on live, you're driving that quad around, you're just going way too fast, and then that mine pops in at the last second, like dang it, kaboom. We're gonna have a mine guard which will maybe absorb maybe one or two of those. So at least if you hit the first one, you might be like, wait a minute,
Some additional armor. I should bail.
I should probably go on foot or find another route before I blow up.
Or get somebody to repair it.
Yeah.
Or
There you
repair
go.
it yourself.
There
Your
it
dang
is.
self.
There it is.
All right, so those are the ATV questions. Next up, we have Sunderer questions. Do you guys have some Sunderer stuff? Sunderer is our enormous troop transport vehicle. So the question here is, what is the Sunderer armor like compared to a Prowler, Vanguard, or Magrider?
Well, this is always in flux to the game play testing, but right now it's 4 times the amount of a tank. So it can take quite a punishment. And it has decent mitigation too. It's not, the tank armor on the front has really good mitigation. Sunderer doesn't have that much, but also the Sunderer is not very weak in the back either.
Right.
So it's tough to take one of these things down.
I mean, the design of it is to basically bust through
Exactly.
lines and be able to get a squad of infantry through vehicles
Yep.
easily.
Yep.
Or not easily, but safely.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay.
Tasty Alex says.
Tasty Alex.
Tasty Alex says.
That dude's crazy.
Let me dry the damn thing already. Call it an ice cream truck for all I care.
Noted. All right. Ice cream truck. Done.
What's up, Drunken Monkin?
If a Sunderer and a Vanguard are on a collision course with each other, going full speed, what happens? It's like one leaves at 5:52 p.m. from Louisville, and the other one leaves at 6:15 p.m. from Baton Rouge.
Yeah, so the design here is, you can't always predict what every collision is going to do, but for the most part, the Sunderer is going to win the collision and be able to push the tank away. Both vehicles will probably take some good damage, though, especially if they're going head-on. Sunderer is still going to take some good damage going head-on, but the Sunderer will eventually be the one that gets to keep going straight.
Right.
It's about physics, though,
Yes.
right?
It's a weight. It's heavy.
Yeah,
It's way heavier.
Because the physics are true. You know, we've got an object that's whatever 2,000 pounds, and we've got another one that's 10,000 pounds, or whatever the weight is.
10 times that.
Yeah, obviously, the bigger one is going to win out if they're going the same speed.
Yep. And Sunderer is the bigger one.
Is that okay? I'm getting told something's wrong with my mic. I had it attached to my beard earlier, and they told me to stop it.
That's pretty nasty.
It was nasty. All right. What was I going to say about the Sunderer? Oh, a lot of it's also going to depend on what kind of performance enhancements you have on it too, right?
Like I said earlier, every vehicle has a performance slot, so
Like
if you
the
really
Alpha or
want to
something?
plow through stuff.
Cialis.
You gotta throw some
Got a Cialis
Cialis on
slot.
there, dude. Some extends.
Yeah.
Put that
Oh,
on
dude.
my Sunderer.
How do you know all about this stuff?
Commercials, dude.
Right.
It's this thing called TV.
Oh, sure.
I watch commercials.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, you would equip something. If you really want to bust through tanks, you would probably equip a top speed or an engine acceleration and give you that extra edge so that when you hit that tank, you're going 80 kph instead of 60
Yeah.
and really push it out of the way.
So you could design your Sunderer that you're going to summon up basically with maxed out front armor. You could give up some, maneuverability and put like a pure speed thing in and basically just make a battering ram out of it that you can just slam right into a facility and all your dudes jump out and start killing.
Should be interesting in bridge battles, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Clearing the bridge. All right. Those were, one more Sunderer question. Will the Sunderer retain a few of its features from PS1, the EMP ability, more importantly, the air horn? I think it's actually described on here as the kick-ass air horn.
Yeah, we'll have a kick-ass air horn.
Is that going to be customizable? Can I customize my air horn?
Working on it.
Get old Dixie call in there.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
definitely want it to be. Get the La Cucaracha or something.
Sure. Our lunch truck does the La Cucaracha. And the EMP we kind of already talked about.
Yeah, it's going to have stuff like that.
Has an ability that it can use.
Yep.
All right. So now we're moving on to the Lightning. The Lightning isn't something that we've shown a lot. So what's the deal? What's the scoop on the Lightning?
The
Gentlemen.
Lightning.
Yeah, what's the deal with it?
The deal.
Built that thing a long time ago. It's almost been sitting on ice forever. What's
Yeah, we wanted to give it a new fresh paint job. So it's currently being redone. So that's why we don't have any awesome pictures of it.
Being brought up to PlanetSide awesome level.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I saw somebody working on it earlier today,
Yeah,
actually.
we're working on it. The biggest issue was once we saw what we had, we wanted to kind of like bring it closer to what the original was. So it it needed a little bit of update. So when you see it, you'll know that it's the Lightning. It won't look like some foreign thing to you.
Yeah. So the Lightning is a one-man tank. In PlanetSide 2, it has a very versatile role. So do you want to talk a little bit about what the Lightning functionality is in PlanetSide 2 versus what people are used to for PlanetSide 1?
So the Lightning's the role is still a strike tank, but it's way more versatile than the original. And it's way more versatile than the main battle tanks. It also inherited some roles of other vehicles, like the Skyguard. It's going to have, at launch, the best anti-air vehicle weapon. Also with that, it's going to have a more versatile cannon. So there's going to be like a 6-round quick shot cannon that's going to be kind of average against armor, but more effective against infantry. And then you can also change that to be a larger cannon, which is going to be your anti-tank. So if you want to roll 3 Lightnings out there as tank killers, you probably want to equip that one, try to flank tanks, hit them in the back, and do as much damage as you can. And
What about durability, in terms of durability?
it can't take as much hits as a regular tank and does have a rear vulnerable spot. So running away in a Lightning is kind of risky, so most of the skill involved with the Lightning is flanking without exposing your rear, and then getting out of there without your rear being exposed for too long.
Right.
It also only
It's like
has
prison.
I was thinking it, but I didn't say it.
it also has a
You can drive backwards. Get out of the fight.
yes, exactly. So if you can drive backwards, trying to drive up, and then that's probably a much safer way to get out of there. Because two or three direct hits from a main tank in the rear quadrant, and you're done.
When are we going to be able to show people the Lightning? When do we get to see the Lightning, you guys?
It's a good question.
Someday,
Yeah,
eventually.
someday soon. I can't
We're
put a
waiting
date
until
on
it's
it.
until it's just beautiful, until it's like
Yeah, we can't put a date on it because what happens is once it leaves us, the art team, it goes to Kevin, and then it goes to physics, and all the other departments put their hands on it, and then it gets into the game. So it's not just, yeah, I can show you screenshots of it, but to see it actually moving around, that's somebody else has got to do a bunch of other stuff to make that happen.
but it's coming soon.
Coming soon.
Have no fear. The Lightning has not escaped despite its inconspicuous absence. Its conspicuous absence. So, Lightning definitely a big part of the plan for the way vehicle balance works in the game. Empire-specific weapons for the Lightning?
Possibly.
Cool.
We're trying.
Right on. Liberator. Liberator is our huge gunship that we were talking about a little while ago. So. Arm it to the teeth and operate it. This is a Galaxy question. Hold on. I'm going to talk about that during Galaxy time. Does the pilot weapon and the gunner weapon have overlapping fields of fire in the Liberator?
Not at the exact same time, but they're really close. So the intent is if you want to maximize damage, you kind of want to dive bomb in with the pilot, and he wants to pull up to give the gunner the most shots you can. The gunner seat is going to be doing the most damage, way more damage than the other one. But if you combine them, dive bomb it, hit it, and then drop bombs, or not bombs, but tank shells on them, that's going to maximize your damage a few tons.
What about sort of like hanging out on the periphery of a battle and having your pilot kind of fly circles around it with the gun? Is that a viable tactic? Is that something that people will do?
You still need to get close, but you don't have to get directly above other vehicles.
Right on. Okay, cool. I think that's. Oh, is there a tail gunner?
Yes.
There's 3 seats in the Liberator. Mm-hmm. Right on. All right, so the last couple questions that we have on here, and then if we still have some time, maybe we can grab some ad hoc questions from Twitter. I'm not sure if we will, but the Galaxy questions. So the first one, which was under Liberator, are there customization options for the Galaxy to arm it to the teeth and operate it as a nasty weapons platform?
Yeah, there'll be, like I said earlier, each weapons system can be changed on a vehicle. Same with the Galaxy. You're going to be able to change the wing weapons and the tail weapon and the top weapon. The things you can change it to will probably be similar to switching them to anti-air weapons and possibly some ground defense weapons too for when it's deployed, or even some mortars like the Galaxy gunship on Live, something similar.
Yeah.
Maybe not that far into the gunship territory, but similar stuff to that.
Are there any plans? This question's not on here, but I want to know.
I'm going to toss one out there.
Well, you got a question?
Yeah, you said deploy. Like, explain what that means, because I think we've talked about some of the information about the AMS disappearing and it being combined with the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. So kind of explain the thought process behind eliminating one vehicle and then incorporating the functionality into the Galaxy.
Other than just trying to simplify things, make them cleaner, having less vehicle clutter, we decided to roll them in because we felt that the AMS alone as a vehicle was kind of boring. Pulling an AMS and then just driving it and deploying it, vehicle's done. The vehicle part's over. We wanted something with a little bit more options to it. And we looked at both Sunderer and Galaxy, and I think we would be compromising the Sunderers, like, I'm going to bust in with 12 dudes if we let you respawn at it when it gets to the end. So if it busts through and you can start respawning it, who's going to load it up with people?
Right.
When they can just, okay, it's there, suicide, and start respawning. So we want it to be more action-packed Sunderer. So that's why I went to the Galaxy. And we figured if it's landed, deployed, we can have it it should be fine as an
So
AMS.
what is a galaxy going to do when it's deployed? Like, what is a deployed
So
galaxy?
because it is gigantic, a cloak bubble doesn't work. And also, we're kind of going with the cloak bubble mechanic is something that's kind of hands-off, and it's more fun when a player is just sitting there defending it for reals instead of just trying to hide it.
Becomes a new battlefield objective.
Yes. So, and while that makes it a bigger target, we're going to try to do things like the point defense weapons is one thing, where it's deployed, it's got 4 gun seats. So imagine having your AMS, but when you deploy it, you had those, I forget what they're called in PlanetSide Live, the engineer turrets you could place.
Deployment turrets, yeah.
Imagine that just had 4 of those with it, and you could just have people gunning and defending the AMS the whole time. I think that'd be a much more interesting mechanic than hide and seek.
So how do you defend it against something like an orbital strike? Or
Well, we can tune orbital strikes however we want. We can make it not one shot. We
Right.
can make sure orbital strikes don't happen every 5 minutes.
and that's sort of part of along the
Yes,
lines of what we're trying to
exactly.
do. Although we're not going to talk too much about orbital strikes quite yet.
So we could always make it survive an orbital strike if we deem it necessary, or we could have, and yeah, that's it.
So you got people understand that once we start open beta and get all this information from the players and get some feedback, a lot of things change. So
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff is kind of like, in
This is our
theory,
plan right
this
now.
this is what we're playing with now. We think it works. At some point in time, somebody else is going to, prove us wrong. Once the players get their hands on it, it's going to be like, all right, well, we need to change these mechanics and make it's one-shot kill because it's too overpowered or whatever the case is.
Yep.
But a lot of things change during beta.
We leave all of our options open, try not to close any doors prematurely. And then our plan is, post-beta, we're going to be changing stuff and adding stuff to the game for years and years to come. So a lot of the questions on here of can this do this thing, maybe not at launch, but down the road,
Yeah.
maybe. All right, so any reason for a Galaxy pilot to stay in a landed Galaxy? Is there an additional gun that they would be able to use, anything like that?
There's no reason to stay in the pilot seat. He could always switch to another seat if it's open that has a gun and gun it. But otherwise, it would be the same as in live, where you would probably want to jump out and deploy engineer stuff or keep it repaired or
Right, be part
whatever.
of maintaining it at that
Yeah.
point. All right, cool. We got a couple minutes left, so I'm going to try to get quickly through this. The Galaxy had 4 weapons. Where are these located? I don't know I think that was a question. If the Galaxy has 4 weapons, where are these located? Do the guns change location for when the Galaxy is deployed, or are they in the same location?
Currently, they're not changing, but we may, based on the deployment of it, we can move them as we see fit. So
Is that so?
Move them as you see fit.
Exactly.
yeah, so they probably won't move much if they move, but the top one will probably stay the same, and then the wings come down or anything like that. That might be a better view than where it was. So we might have some play on that.
Right on.
And so far, we haven't had the need.
So the last question on here was just about defensive measures that it has, and it seems like we covered that with talking about it having armor, having some sort of potentially passive defensive systems.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've worked through most of the questions on here. If you guys have any other questions about vehicles or anything else, please follow and ask Kevmo here, who is at Kevmo0 on Twitter. He'll always answer your questions. And those of you guys who aren't following, at PlanetSide 2, at PSTRay, at Higby on Twitter, go ahead, because we
exactly.
sent out, what, three new screenshots today, exclusive
some
on
great
there.
stuff
And
going out on Twitter. Hey, we got a question. Will the Lodestar be making a return?
No.
no.
No!
I wanted to really quickly give a shout out to PlanetSide Universe. Those guys are doing their AGN show tomorrow. I think I'm going to hop on and answer some questions that they got from the community. If not, I'll answer them and they'll be read off on the show. So make sure you guys tune in and check that out if you're not. And any of you guys, again, following us on Twitter, thank you so much. Talking to us, all the places where we talk to you guys on PlanetSide Universe, on our own forums, and on the PlanetSide Reddit, which is actually blowing up lately, which is cool. We love you guys, and we can't wait to do more of this stuff in the future and talk to you guys more in the future. Right, Kevmo?
Right.
Exactly.
You're not
Let's
Kevmo.
see, hold up. See, we got some more.
Oh, he's on his phone.
Sony.